Hitting a nice draw and never worrying about a fade again can be a really simple process, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Now in a second, we're going to get to a great visualization that's going to help that ball turn over every single time. And what we're going to talk about is how the face releases on one side of the golf ball or the other side of the golf ball, and that feeling that you're going to have when you hit either a fade or a draw. Super simple. Once you go through this step-by-step process, you'll draw every single one of them. It's really that easy. So let's start out. Well, it all starts with a grip first. A lot of times people will have a grip that's turned simply too far to the left. And we can make it complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Imagine your hands or your palms are straight up and down like this. If I have straight up and down palms and I grip this club, if I was to open my hands, my palms would be like that. That's a fairly weak grip. The more that I turn my palms this way, the stronger my grip and the easier it is to draw. The more that I turn my palms that way, the weaker my grip and the harder it is to draw. So I want to feel like my palms go this way when I grip the club. You notice how my thumbs will be a bit more on the right side or this side of the golf club when I do that. It just makes it easier to draw it. Let's make it as easy as possible as we can. Now step number 2 is I got to swing inside out. And I'm going to use a real driver here in a second, but I'm just demonstrating this with a little plastic club because it's easier to see. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and swing toward the direction of that club. Now that feels really awkward if you don't do one thing right. So if I just keep my body in this position and I try to manipulate it and swing out that way, it feels terrible. But if I take my elbows, so imagine I kind of cock my club over my shoulders. If I take my elbows and face them toward the target, like if somebody was standing here, I'm going to hit them with my elbows. That gets the club way to the inside. So we can see how now that club would be way in there, and I could easily release the club toward this club on the ground. So that would be that inside out swing path. That's the second step. Now the third step is where it all comes together, and this is the one that's a real game changer. We've all been told to swing to the right and strengthen our grip. If that was going to fix it, we'd never hit a fade. We'd already have it fixed, right? But here's the visual that I really love. When you hit the golf ball is stuck against the face for a little bit. And then it pops off the face. It really explodes off there with a lot of speed. Now when it comes off the club, if I have my toe in front of the heel, so this would be dead straight. If I have my toe leading the heel, so the momentum of the club is releasing, it's going to feel like it's on the outside of the golf ball. So again here, if I'm looking from this way toward the target, this would be the club face right square in the back of the golf ball. The toe and the heel wouldn't be leading, and that would be a straight shot. If I swing this way and the toe outraces the heel and gets on the outside of that golf ball, so the toe leads the way on the outside of the golf ball, the heel lags behind, that ball is going to draw every single time. And if my heel outraces the toe, so I come in here and my heel is now leading the way, that ball is going to fade. So simply put, swing to the right and feel like the toe wraps around the outside of the golf ball. That's all you have to do to hit draw after draw after draw. So now I've got my grip to make this easier. I've got in a position to where I can swing inside out a lot easier. Now all I have to do is let that toe wrap around or feel like it covers around this golf ball as you hit it. You're gonna, if anything, you're gonna overhook it at first and have to tone that down a little bit. So let's go ahead and give it a whirl. I got my stronger grip. I got my elbows leading the way, and now I'm going to feel like that club just wraps around the outside of the golf ball. I don't mind here if I go ahead and hit a 30 or 40 yard, almost a hook, to exaggerate this feeling at first. Then I'll back off of it slightly. Ooh, I hit that one hard. That was good. I really love the feel of that because when you get in that position and you just let that club wrap around it, it just feels really solid. So 172 ball speed, 311 total distance, great drive there. And the great thing about this too is when that club releases around it, it feels super, super, super solid. It's going to feel fantastic. Now, like I said, if I had hooked that one a little bit too much, I just feel like the toe gets a little bit less around it. It's still releasing, but just not quite as much. And I keep backing off that until it's a nice little tight draw. Now, a lot of times players struggle with this because it's counterintuitive to what we've been taught. We've been taught to roll the forearms over each other to square that club face. When in reality, when we get those elbows this way, we have to do this more with our wrist in the ways that the pros are doing it. And that's what I call the anti-roll method. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you in this next video. Here in a second, I'm going to play a preview of the anti-roll method, talk about how rolling the forearms is not what we should actually be doing, and I'm going to walk you through the right way to do this with the wrist like the pros are doing. Once you figure that out, it's going to be super easy to draw it time after time after time. So it's a great complement to this video. During that preview, all you need to do is go ahead and click one of the cards that pops up on your screen. If you don't see that, don't worry. Go down to the link below in the description, click there, and you'll get instant access to that video from either of those places. Best of luck. Let's go and get started. So here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,